Sunday, we were hit with some crazy news that I just didn't even ever think was possible. R-Truth will not be coming back to the WWE. WWE will not be renewing R-Truth's contract, which is a shame. He was one of the more fun parts about watching Monday Night Raw. Why would you get rid of him, especially after putting him in the main event against John Cena at Saturday night's main event? This is baffling to fans across the internet as well as the wrestlers that work for the WWE. This is a crazy, unprecedented time for the WWE, and it has not been a positive one. R-Truth was somebody I would tune in weekly to enjoy even the short segment that he would get, and now he is gone. But this video is a thank you to R-Truth for the light and the joy you've brought to wrestling fans around the world. So let's take a quick look back at the career that R-Truth has had. I don't know if R-Truth will wrestle again. He never announced if he's going to continue wrestling or not. But if this is it for R-Truth, I want to be one of the ones to say thank you and remember what R-Truth did for the wrestling world. R-Truth, also known as Ronnie Aaron Killings, was born on January 19th, 1972. Now, R-Truth did not start his career wanting to be a wrestler. He wanted to be a musician, and that has bled through into his wrestling character. When he was 18, he was dealing drugs to make money for his music career and was arrested and spent 13 months in prison. After that, he was in a halfway house when Jackie Crockett contacted him. Jackie tried to convince R-Truth to become a professional wrestler, but R-Truth wanted to continue pursuing his music career. About 2 years had passed, and R-Truth decided maybe I should give wrestling a shot. R-Truth would debut in Pro Wrestling Federation in 1997 as a manager for Manny Fernandez. He would have his first official match in 1999 on NWA Wildside. After some urging, he sent a promotional tape to the WWE and was quickly picked up by them and sent into their developmental territory in Memphis. Now, while in Memphis, R-Truth enjoyed wrestling but struggled because he was told he was only going to be there for just a short amount of time. Right when he was thinking about giving up, in walks in the Road Dogg. The Road Dogg watched R-Truth wrestle in Memphis and wanted to be a tag team with him. Now, this was after the DX breakup, and so Road Dogg didn't really have a lot going on. Road Dogg really needed something to get back into the spotlight, and I guess he saw everything he needed in R-Truth. Now, R-Truth would debut as K-Quick, and they would go on a short little run as a tag team before Road Dogg was suspended and let go. Now, K-Quick continued to be a single star, even capturing the Hardcore Championship twice. After he lost the Hardcore Championship the second time to Hardcore Holly, he would become more of a background character until his release in August of 2001. He would debut for TNA in 2002 as K-Crush, solidifying himself as a heel by attacking some of the NASCAR drivers they had there as a promotion. On July 17th, K-Crush would come out to the ring and cut a fiery promo saying that he had been held back by his race and he was not going to stand for that anymore. Now doting the name Ron the Truth Killings. Just a little under a month after that promo was cut, Ron the Truth Killings would beat Kim Shamrock for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. This is when TNA was still aligned with the NWA, so that was their main championship on that show. This was before any of the TNA champions. This is the championship to have on TNA at the moment. He would be the first ever African-American NWA World Heavyweight Champion, which for me is crazy to think it took that long for that to happen, but we do live in a crazy world. But I'm glad R-Truth is the one who gets to dote that for the rest of his life. He would lose it to Jeff Jarrett with the help of Vince Russo on November 20th. Now, one of the big things he did with TNA was be a part of the 3 Live crew, which was R-Truth, Conan, and BG James, formerly known as Road Dogg. And this team would stay together for about 2 years, even adding a 4th member to become the 4th Live crew. They would, as a group, capture the NWA World Tag Team Championships, but would ultimately lose them to Team Canada. Following that breakup, he was in a slew of just groups and tag teams that really never went anywhere, but were fun to watch for sure, including a group with Sting and AJ Styles. What a group that is. In 2008, he would re-sign with the WWE, coming back as a face instead of a heel. He had been between face and heel, mostly heel, for his entire career up until this point, but the WWE would not recognize him as K-Quick. He would be called R-Truth, but they would completely forget about anything he had previously done for the company, as per usual when it came to the Vince McMahon regime. Now, 2010 was a very, very big year for R-Truth. We look at what happened in that year for him. He qualified for the Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight Championship. He ended up being eliminated by CM Punk, but would still have a WrestleMania match with John Morrison to face Show Miz in The Big Show and The Miz. They would face off for the unified WWE Tag Team Championship, but would end up losing, unfortunately. In late 2010, R-Truth was drafted to the Raw brand, where he would face off against Ted DiBiase, and DiBiase would offer him a job as a personal assistant, which he would decline and slap him. On May 23rd, R-Truth would face off against The Miz for the vacant United States Championship, and would win. This would be his first, according to the WWE, his first singles championship. Now, he would lose the United States Championship to The Miz in a fatal 4-way, including Zack Ryder and John Morrison, and then also fail on his rematch clause. R-Truth was also a part of the team that faced off against the Nexus on SummerSlam. What a time that was. That was a fun time. I actually really enjoyed the Nexus. Soon after that, we would see the birth of a character that most wrestling fans know as Little Jimmy. Now, Little Jimmy was just a shot at the children in the audience during a promo, but as things in the WWE happen, some small, insignificant things turn out to be a huge part of your character. Look at Austin 316. Never thought that would take off, but here we are still selling Austin 316 shirts in the year of our Lord 2025. Little Jimmy is a staple when you think about the early 2010s Raw. Such a fun little thing that R-Truth did, and a lot of fun jokes came out of it. Now, this promo, funny enough, was an apology promo, or supposed to be an apology promo, where R-Truth came out in a Confederate soldier's uniform. Say that again, a Confederate soldier's uniform, supposedly to apologize to the roster for the heinous actions that he had partaken in attacking Rey Mysterio after a match with Alberto Del Rio, saying that he wanted John Cena. Well, if he apologized, he got a match with John Cena at Capital Punishment, and he would end up losing that match at Capital Punishment, unfortunately. After that, we would start on one of the more remembered things of R-Truth and the early 2010s in the Awesome Truth, a heel stable that, looking at it today, just doesn't make sense, but back then was incredibly good. Now, they did make a comeback 2 years ago as a face team, but it just didn't hit the same. I still love R-Truth, but the whole time spent with the Judgment Day was incredible during that, though. That whole everything they were doing together was awesome. Now, the Awesome Truth would tear through the Raw roster up until somebody said something had to be done, and that was John Cena, who brought along The Rock. Now, John Cena and The Rock had been off and on feuding for a while, and they would go on to face off at WrestleMania that year. But at Survivor Series, they had to take care of the Awesome Truth before they could do that. The Miz would end up turning on R-Truth at the end of this match after they lost. After that, R-Truth would end up tagging with Kofi Kingston for a little while and even capturing the Tag Team Championship. And they would hold it all the way up until Night of Champions, where they would face off against Kane and Daniel Bryan to lose. What an interesting combo both teams are in this situation. R-Truth would make a play at the United States Championship after that, but would fail to capture it. Through 2013 and 2016, he was in a various amounts of feuds and random assortment of tag teams, but he was still a workhorse for the WWE. I mean, the man has almost 1,800 matches under his belt, 1,799 to be exact. And through 2013 and 2016, each year he had over 100 matches. That's a crazy work rate. In 2016, he would form a tag team with Goldust, of all people, calling themselves the Golden Truth. Now, this was honestly a very fun team. It never really amounted to anything, but was incredibly fun to watch. I am also a big fan of Goldust, so seeing Goldust and R-Truth together, even back then, made me extremely happy. I really enjoyed this team, and Dustin Reynolds, Goldust, if you're watching this, big fan, love you. Thank you for doing this with R-Truth. It was a great moment of my childhood and teenage years. Even short-lived as it was, this is one of my favorite things that was part of R-Truth's career. Now, coming in at a close second is the alliance with Carmela. Carmela and R-Truth were a fantastic pairing. They worked so well together, even to the point that I hoped Carmela would come back and work with R-Truth again. Unfortunately, Carmela is not coming back to the WWE anytime soon, as far as I know, but R-Truth and Carmela were hilarious. They were such a good team together, even winning season 2 of the Mixed Match Challenge, which WWE you should bring back. That was an incredibly fun event and paired up a lot of people that I would have never paired up in my entire life. But it was a very fun event, and him and Carmela were incredibly fun as well. Now, his and Carmela's partnership would ultimately come to a positive end because Carmela was pregnant. No animosity and no breakup for this one. But one of the biggest parts of R-Truth's career is the introduction of the 24/7 championship. Now, as the leading champion with 53 championships or times held the 24/7 championship, he technically is the most decorated WWE superstar to exist, and nobody will get close to that number again because they probably won't bring anything like the 24/7 championship back. It was fun though. I am one of the few rare people that actually really enjoyed the 24/7 championship, even though it was just filler almost for the show. I really enjoyed it. But 53 times he kept that championship alive and breathing as long as it could be until they got rid of it in 2022. Now, in the last few years, he's had some incredibly fun things going on. He rejoined with The Miz to reform Awesome Truth. He had the whole thing with the Judgment Day, which was my favorite part of Raw every single week. And this whole thing with John Cena was fantastic. I couldn't imagine, if this is the end, a better way of going out than facing off with your childhood hero. R-Truth, if this is the end, thank you. You've brought joy to my life, and you've brought joy to many, many people's lives. But we can't forget the accolades of R-Truth. 2-time WWE World Tag Team Champion, 2-time United States Champion, 2-time Hardcore Champion, 53-time WWE 24/7 Champion, 1-time TNA World Tag Team Champion, 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the first African-American male to ever do it, NWA World Television Championship, NWA World Tag Team Championship, NWA Shockwave Heavyweight Championship, and the Memphis Wrestling Southern Heavyweight Championship for the 2-time. Now, R-Truth has had a long and incredible career. He's had a career that I look back on fondly, and I hope he does too. I know there are a lot of people in the world that R-Truth has touched, just by being on TV and giving people like me who sometimes have some mental health struggles a moment of relief on their TV each week. R-Truth, thank you for everything you've done, and I hope this isn't the end for you.